Hello everyone and welcome back to a brand new video and welcome back to round 2 of our F1 25 My Team Career Mode. Yes, we're back this weekend here for the Chinese Grand Prix. Of course, if you missed out on the video that went live earlier on today from Australia, go back, check it out. The season opener, it was a pretty good one. We had a lot of fun out in the land down under. But of course, we returned this weekend for the first sprint race of 2025, so excited to see obviously what we've got ahead of us, but at the moment we've actually got a lot of resource points that we need to try and continue using up early on this season. I'm hoping that some of the upgrades are going to be a little bit more expensive, but trying to throw as many upgrades onto the car as we possibly can right now. You can see we've got a few more that are slowly coming through. So we will try, like I said, we're basically just going to be trying to get a nice steady flow of upgrades going on at the moment. Unfortunately, no slots available on the chassis side of things, so 3 upgrades currently in the works. And for the first time then this season, we have got the all-new floor stiffening upgrade on the car. So we are going to give that to our teammate Dennis Hauger. So he's going to have a slight advantage over ourselves. Obviously, we're basically going to be racing as kind of voicing over the course of the season, but we definitely need to try and get some more facility upgrades there. So we're going to try and obviously get another one of these upgrading ready to arrive on the car after the Chinese Grand Prix, but we've got a little bit of money as well, so hopefully we can try and do some facility improvements as well there. So I think we need to... There we go. We need to do the research expansion aero. So we'll try and get that on. And we will try and do that with everything as well that we possibly can. So there we go. Aero breakthrough has been done. We also need... So we don't have any more improvement slots at the moment. So we're going to have to wait a little bit again. We're a little bit limited at the start of the season. If we take a look though at the World Championship standings, obviously after the opening Grand Prix, Max Verstappen took the win out in Albert Park, Australia, ahead of Lewis Hamilton and both of the McLarens. Red Bull, an 8-point lead at the top of the Constructors' table as well, ahead of McLaren. Ferrari, they're just 1 point back behind one of our 2 orange teams now in the sport. Of course, we narrowly missed out on our first points on debut for the team as well. A P11 finish, like I said, we certainly cannot complain about. But Shanghai, a much more difficult circuit. Of course, if you want early access to more of the videos as well from this series, click that join button. Timestamps will be linked down below as well. But yeah, let's head then here to Shanghai.
Welcome along to Shanghai, ladies and gentlemen, where it's Chinese Grand Prix weekend. But before we can race, we need to qualify. And who's going to take that coveted pole position? How will our grid line up? We're about to find out. Welcome to qualifying.
Well, the sun now shining here on Friday night, so we're going to get some proper laps in anger then as we head into sprint qualifying. It looks like as well they fixed the bug that was in F1 24 where you actually had access to both sets of tyres through Q1 and Q2 in sprint qualifying. Of course, we have to do the laps on the mediums, but this year we've only got access to 1 set. Normally, I would just try and do 1 lap in this session, but when I do things like that, it's a good job I came out nice and early, so we've got time to go for 2 runs. That was a little bit silly. After a strong start to the season in Albert Park, I really don't want to fill the back row of the grid ready for sprint race here from Shanghai. This is probably going to be a tougher weekend though than what we saw at Australia, but I've removed all of the fuel as well, so hopefully the car is going to be a little bit quicker in this final run. I've just got to make sure I don't mess up the line through turn 1. Just was far too optimistic last time in carrying the speed in. We need about 2 seconds if we want to have a fairly comparable representative here in our second run. And well, immediately out the first corner we found 1.4 of those seconds. That's pretty good going. So we make our way down the hill, braking at about 100 meter board there, trying to get the car to meet the apex, and hopefully we're just going to find a little bit more time as the confidence continues to build around the rest of the lap. Completely flat out 7th gear through this first part of the S's, and then down a couple of gears, down 3 gears through the second part then, not quite getting the car to the apex where I needed it. And of course we've got to remember we are now on older scrub tyres. Of course Shanghai on previous games has been brutal for tyre wear as well. So we're just trying again meet the apex there, 3/10 down on the split timer. Jack doing there by the end of sector 2, and it's this traction zone I'm really struggling so far. We do a much better job than we did last time around, able to get the power down nice and tidy on the exit of the corner. I think we're aiming for a low 135 here. I definitely want to be quicker than Hauger. I would love to be quicker than Isaac Hajar as well, as breaking down, trying to get stopped, really trying to avoid locking up the fronts as well, as we try and make our way then in towards the final turn of this lap. It's been a big improvement. It's not going to set the world alight though. 1.7 seconds up, a 35.6. We only go 21st. There we are, Charles Leclerc fastest in Sprint Q1 there, ahead of Yuki Tsunoda and Max Verstappen. Have we had any major surprises? I don't really think so. Oh no, there we go, Kimi Antonelli, a disaster for him. Down in P17, they're slower once more than both of those Kick Sauber cars. Apart from that, I think it was just the other 5 cars were exactly the same as what we saw out in Australia. Yet again though, half a second clear of Dennis Hauger. He needs to improve, considering he had an extra upgrade on the car.
So it's all about speed in today's sprint. Not very many laps and no chance to get ahead on strategy. Who here today has the raw skill to take them to the top? We start a lap here at Shanghai with the long, difficult right-handers of turns 1 and 2, the first of 16 corners that make up this 3.3-mile circuit. The incredibly long back straight provides the best passing opportunity of the lap, with speeds in excess of 200 miles per hour before we head into the braking zone of turn 14. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position. And Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Tsunoda, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Piastri, Russell, Sainz, Fernando Alonso, and Pierre Gasly, Albon, Lawson, Nico Hülkenberg, and Ocon, Bortoletto, Stroll, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Jack Doohan, Behrman, Hadja, Voisin, and Dennis Hauger rounds off the grid. Which of these drivers will get pole position today? We'll soon find out.
Well, rather annoyingly then, I managed to lose all of the sprint race footage. That being said though, it was a sprint race in Shanghai. We struggled quite badly. Unfortunately, yeah, just had a bit of an issue with the recording. We made up a few places early on. We then slowly dropped back down the order. The only kind of other notable things was one, Lance Stroll had a DNF, a mechanical failure for him, and number 2, Max Verstappen binned it, and therefore was unable to score any points either in the sprint race there. It was won in the end by Charles Leclerc, so he did a very good job ahead of Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris as well there, with Hamilton, I believe, now finishing in P4. We then proceeded to qualify 21st, ready for the Grand Prix as well. Again, I apologise for the issues with the sprint. Hopefully I've got it fixed. Like I said, we're 21st on the grid, ready for the real thing, but changeable conditions ahead of us then. Let's see what we can do here in Shanghai.
The Chinese Grand Prix then is upon us once again. It's a race that saw Michael Schumacher claim his final Formula One victory in 2006, as well as Red Bull's first win with Sebastian Vettel in 2009. There's no doubt there's plenty more drama to come here in Shanghai. The ever-tightening turns of 1 and 2 will prove tricky in the slippery conditions here in Shanghai, and anyone that slides wide will lose a lot of time getting back on track. Turn 14 should still be the best place for overtaking, but we'll have to see some improvement in the weather before the drivers can take advantage of that DRS assistance. It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Lando Norris put in a fantastic lap yesterday, and he'll start from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Tsunoda, Charles Leclerc, and Piastri, Russell, Albon, Fernando Alonso, and Carlos Sainz, Hülkenberg, Gasly, Andrea Kimi Antonelli, and Lawson, Bortoletto, Ocon, Ollie Behrman, and Jack Doohan, Hadja, Voisin, Hauger, and Lance Stroll brings the grid to a close. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway.
Well, here we are then down on the grid, ready for the start of the GP. And yeah, this one is going to be a tough old affair. Changeable conditions. My plan, hopefully, is just going to be take the intermediates as far as we possibly can. If the circuit dries up, then obviously we can try and make the switch straight to dries. Otherwise, just hopefully we're going to be able to stay on this set of tyres for as long as possible here. A tough old race, a big old race. Our first wet race of F125 as well. As the lights are on then, here down on the grid, we've been promoted to P20, courtesy of Lance Stroll's grid penalties. It's 5 red lights, and it is going to be lights out, and away we go there immediately. Actually doing a very, very good start there, getting past Isaac Hadjar, and maybe Jack Doohan down in towards turn 1. Had a couple of good battles with Jack Doohan in the sprint race yesterday, but sadly, like I said, yeah, my recording not working properly, so annoyingly that kind of ruined that. As we try and make our way through the first couple of corners here, Gabriele Bortoletto and Esteban Ocon just in front of us as well. Trying to look around the outside there, but again, just the feel of the back end of the car, really, really difficult to kind of try and grasp early on. You know it's obviously there and roughly what it's doing, but it just, where you haven't got anywhere near as much traction as we did on F124, it is going to take a little while to kind of build up the confidence and to get the car to where we need it. Throw the car up through the top of the circuit. Now you can see Behm and Ocon going wheel to wheel just in front of me. You don't want to nudge too many of those curbs. It's gaining 2 places though off the start line. Behm and Ocon still wheel to wheel. Of course, those two fairly evenly matched so far in 2025. It's all almost coming together through the exit of the corner, but looks like I think that's Verstappen then, obviously out in front after his mistake in the sprint race yesterday. Really trying to make some moves early on and obviously build up a bit of a gap. Of course, we know the Dutchman loves these wet weather conditions. As Behm goes the long way around his teammate there to slot up into P16. So, we've just had the best seat in the house to be watching that all play out on lap 1. Are we going to see Jack Doohan try and get a run on me as we make our way down the back straight? We're going to move to the inside. Thought about trying to go the same way there, but hopefully we're going to get the car slowed down. Ocon, you see the Constantina effect there, very, very kind of scary. Probably the best way I can describe it, down in towards those final couple of turns, but moving up then into 17th place by the end of lap 1. 3 spots, I'm pretty happy with that. Can we get an update on the weather? That's definitely not the right button. It's just accidentally pressing through a few bits and pieces. There we go, finding the right one that time.
On this rain clearing up is about 10 minutes, so just keep your concentration out there. You're doing well. So the rain's easing off a bit, but the track is still going to be wet for a while. Be careful. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Looks like we did have heavy rain earlier on then in the day, but it is starting to clear up here, so yeah, we definitely should be able to stretch this set of tyres.
Use overtake.
The AI, they've just got so much speed off of that corner. Esteban Ocon now flying past us to make our way down the back straight. And look at that Jack Doohan as well. Almost making it 3 wide. Sorry, that's not Doohan, that's Hadjar that gets around the outside there. Big lock up as we get a little bit squeezed between them. But the AI this year, definitely willing to put up quite a big fight. Clearly still, even in the wet conditions. So hopefully we're going to get a lot more good battles with them over the course of the game. Just got to manage that tyre temperature as well at the rear end. Yeah, the tyre's actually a bit too cold at the moment. Starting at 3. Again, just in the dirty air. Bit of a wobble in towards that first corner. This game is so much more punishing. It's great. Oh, we've got yellows. We've got yellows. I think someone's gone for a spin in front. Might have been a Haas car. Yeah, Ollie Behrman going round. And I think Ocon as well might have been caught up in that one. So maybe a little bit of Haas rivalry going on. But we're up another spot. The rain has fully stopped then, but there's still just a little bit of spray being kicked up from the tyres. Of course, the first time ever I had to deal with a crossover point on this game, so I've got no idea what we're going to be contending with. Verstappen, though, running 2 seconds a lap faster than us at the moment. On the one hand, it's always nice kind of having this new challenge inside each game. On the other hand, it's so depressing being 2 seconds a lap slower than the front runners. Oh, we've got a Ferrari. We've got a Ferrari going slowly. I think now might be Leclerc breaking down in this Grand Prix. So 1 lap the Haas cars come to blows. The very next lap the Ferraris potentially struggling here as Lance Stroll again. AI got very, very good grip out of both of those snail sections, but the Ferrari's still going at the moment, so very, very weird. No idea what's really happening to them. Maybe they've got a puncture. Nope, there we go. It's Hamilton out of the Grand Prix. We got a VSC. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. No. Oh, that was really bad. VSC's come to an end, and immediately Lance Stroll was able to capitalise there. We were trying to scrub off speed, and I didn't actually realise that the VSC was actually going to come to an end, so that was a little bit awkward. So Lance Stroll making the moves now. You can see Hauger only a second behind me. Probably a good job that it did end before we came into the pit lane, because, yeah, this circuit is still not dry enough. And I would have gone for it, and probably ruined my own race. Well, Mark's just told me then that he doesn't believe it's time to make the switch just yet, and normally on the F1 games, that means now is the perfect time to dive in, as doing again. How many times have we had to try and defend down this back straight? Luckily, again, able just to get the power, the brakes on a little bit later. So I think he completely cut the inside of that corner then. They're trying to hang alongside us, but I'm going to make the call now then at the end of lap 9. I'm going to put on a set of the hard compound tyres. I'm hoping they will make it to the end of the Grand Prix, but yeah, this is quite a big risk to make early on, and might completely kind of ruin our strategy throughout the rest of the afternoon. I've got to remember, unlike obviously in Albert Park, to click the right button as I make my way into our pit box there. There we go, nailed that one. So that shouldn't be any more difficult than it was on last year's game.
Okay, off we go.
Very quick pit stop in this GP.
That was a fantastic stop, faster than we were expecting.
Right, here we go then. Back out onto the circuit. Grip feels okay. Obviously, got to remember the cold tyres anyway. There, as you can see, frantically trying to keep the car on the dry line through the first couple of corners, but already taking a bit of time out of Behrman and Doohan. Hauger's up to P18. He's going to have a nosebleed running that high up the order.
Okay,
but I reckon we're in a
decent
spot. Well, there we are then. A load more cars now starting to pour into the pit lane. So will Dennis Hauger. And Ollie Behrman has clearly made another little error as well here. Doohan is going a lot faster than me, but surely he is not going to be able to get to the end on that set of mediums. They didn't feel that great after 10 laps in the sprint, never mind 17. But everybody seems to be doing it though, so really got no idea what the AI's plan of attack is through the second half of the Grand Prix. But again, if it opens up options for us, I'm not going to complain. New fastest lap of the day, as we will stay out ahead of our teammate Hauger, so at least our undercut hasn't lost us anything.
Fresh mediums. We think they've got one more stop.
Oh, that is exactly what we want to hear then, as again, how many times have we battled with Doohan down into that hairpin there, but the team believe that most of the AI are going to make another pit stop before the end of the Grand Prix, so although, yeah, our kind of pace isn't really there, hopefully that's going to give us a chance to kind of fight a little bit higher, as Jack Doohan, new fastest lap of the day. I'm quite surprised just how quickly the circuit's dried out. We're not even at half distance yet, and it already feels like quite a lot's happened in this GP. So Doohan again thought about a move down the inside as we've got more yellows out. I think that's our teammate. Dennis Hauger again running into problems, but he gets it back on the road and not too much concern. I assume he just ran slightly wide. It's Doohan again having a look down the inside in towards the hairpin. Surely we're not going to let him get through there. And again, there goes Jack Doohan once more. How many times is this going to happen? Annoyingly though, so now he has got the DRS. It's going to be a little bit easier for him. I think our best bet is actually just sitting behind for a few laps and hope that he can drag us along. Well, EA have, to be fair to them, already confirmed that the AI, kind of their ability in traction zones is going to be fixed in a day one patch, so it shouldn't be an issue for you guys in the same way it is for me at the moment, trying to record these races early. But Ollie Behrman then moving through and up into P19 as well. I guess kind of the only real question now is, if the AI are going to pit, when will they pit? Otherwise, we might have a lonely rest of this race just falling back towards Dennis Hauger. Ooh, yellows. We've got yellows for Verstappen from the lead of the Grand Prix. Max Verstappen had a disaster in the sprint race yesterday, and it's going to get even worse for him today after the win in Albert Park to kickstart the year. He is going to join Lewis Hamilton on the sidelines here in Shanghai.
Okay, it looks like the problem's terminal. They're retiring the car.
Disaster for the Dutchman who will almost guarantee to relinquish his World Championship lead then. Same for Hamilton, obviously he can't capitalise on that because after the sprint race yesterday, he was only 1 point behind, but suddenly, I mean, what's that? Red Bull, their power units have had 2 mechanical failures this year. Mercedes, I think, have had 1. Ferrari have had 1. So, yeah, really does seem like almost... Are the Renault power units the most reliable inside this game? That's a little bit of a scary thought prospect. But 10 laps to go of this race. We are still pulling away from Hauger quite comfortably. But just, yeah, waiting on the AI to box. Well, there we go. There we go. Jack Doohan as well into the pit lane then. So we're starting to see more and more AI making a call. Esteban Ocon as well in. Lawson in. But I believe that is all of them. So Sykes already has taken nearly 3 seconds out of me on 1 lap. We might not even really benefit by staying out to the end. But I'm a stubborn man, so I'm going to anyway. Oh, no.
Okay, mate, we might need to look at a new race strategy after that. I've got some options
VSC
for you, so
again.
check your MFD.
Just, yeah, Riaz gave up there completely on me. It definitely feels like on this year's game, there is kind of a point where the car then will suddenly stop gripping up there. And, well, we had a little bit of a spin last weekend now, and we're going to have another one here today. Very annoyed with that one, as Liam Lawson's going to get a 10-second penalty for some reason. I assume the FIA believe that he illegally jumped me. But anyway, we're going to make the call then into the pit lane. Just make sure I press the right button. Mediums are going to go on. And yeah, that's really annoying here. Oh, Lawson very slow on the racing line there. We're still way under our delta at the moment. Oh, come on, Liam. Get on with it, buddy. I guess he can't, can he, at the moment? So you might have to try and get the jump on him as long as he doesn't dive into the pit lane there, which he will not. Oh, no. Ow.
Virtual safety car is ending. Maintain your pace until we get the green flags. VSC ending. Wait for the greens.
I mean, Shanghai is just easily one of the toughest races on the calendar, it feels like, inside these games. No idea which McLaren that is that has got an almighty lead up at the front of the order, but as Doohan will go past me as well. We will bolt on a fresh set of the mediums, get a new wing on the car, everything like that, but 7 laps or so left of this Grand Prix. Yeah, we're basically just trying to limp to the finish. Well, I guess I'd rather fight with our teammate than nobody whatsoever in this Grand Prix, and I think it goes to show just how bad the pace has been today, that, you know, we're normally comfortably quicker than Hauger, and even with a spin, you can still see we're battling with him there, but 16 seconds off of anybody else. Got to be careful we don't have a crash, though, towards the end of the race. We just bang wheels there slightly through the final couple of corners, but let's not risk anything too major. Well, this time around, Hauger is going to fly past me down the back straight. I've got to be strategic. I've got to save a little bit of battery towards the end of the afternoon. Oh, I've also got to make sure I look after the front wing. I've already lost one. I don't want to lose another one here, as that was mighty close, but looks like Charles Leclerc, though, fighting for the win. Of course, with Hamilton and Verstappen out of this race, our top 2 in the championship, it's kind of given everybody else a window. Oh, Hauger again. I mean, how is he doing that? He seems to believe this is our Formula Drift Championship towards the end of the Grand Prix here today, but whereas Australia probably was a really kind of best case scenario for us, I think the lack of pace was kind of masked by other driver issues, and of course a lot of people opting for a 2-stop when we were able to make a 1-stop work. Today here in Shanghai, both of our cars have spun. I picked up damage, and we are nearly 20 seconds off the pace of anybody else by the end of it. I think this circuit has really kind of exposed the great weakness inside this car, combined with the fact the AI are always normally pretty good here in Shanghai anyway, and they're still a little bit glitchy at the moment in the traction zones. Well, we've got 1 lap to go then of this race, and hopefully we're going to be able to pull a move on Dennis Hauger out of somewhere here, down in towards turn 1. We'll really try to throw it in there. Be careful to avoid the grass, though. But at the front of the order, I think that's one of the McLarens going for a last lap move against Charles Leclerc, though. I think they've actually made it work. So I think Charles Leclerc has lost the win. I'm going to have to assume that was Lando Norris that bided his time in towards the final few corners. But out of the final turn, it is going to be Lando Norris that takes victory here in Shanghai. Very, very good race by him. And like I said, just played the strategy to absolute perfection there, getting past Leclerc on this last lap. But further back down the order, though, this is the battle for P19, the battle for the wooden spoon between the 2-2-1-2 motorsport cars. And, well, I'll be honest, Japan next. Not feeling particularly confident for that venue either, but we'll have to wait and see as to how we get on. Through the final few corners, though, of the Chinese Grand Prix, we need to get the power down nice and tidy out of this snail section one last time. You can definitely see that. I mean, the AI able to roll on that power so early, but we are going to drain the battery on the run down towards the final corner. Looks like Behrman got the jump on Doohan as well, as we are gaining on Dennis Hauger. 215 miles an hour. Oh, we outbrake ourselves. Will we get it slowed down into the corner? No, we won't. Hauger, though, has to give us the room on the exit. Otherwise, he will force us off the road wheel to wheel in towards the final corner of the Grand Prix. Whoa, we'll get a little bit of a snap. We hang on for P19.
And here he comes. It's all go, go, go for Lando Norris as he takes the checkered flag and wins.
I mean, it looked like they were in a different category at points during the race, led every lap. I mean, what more can we say?
As the winners make their way up to the podium, one can only imagine the celebrations that will take place at McLaren tonight. Congratulations to everyone on the team, securing the win and proving that they're a force to be reckoned with out on the track.
Well, there we are then. Lando Norris takes the victory here in the Shanghai Grand Prix. The full 33 points for him this weekend. Didn't quite manage fastest lap, but a very, very good job. Well done there. Charles Leclerc comes home for P2. I don't know why he didn't get... Oh, there's no fastest lap bonus point, is there? In 2025. That's a rather stupid one to forget as well. Yuki Tsunoda on the podium ahead of Oscar Piastri and George Russell. Albon in a Mercedes sandwich there just ahead of Kimi Antonelli, with Sainz, Gasly and Alonso rounding out your top 10. Nico Hülkenberg narrowly misses out on Sauber's first point of the year. Just Verstappen and Hamilton, though, that failed to see the checkered flag as we finish a minute and 9 seconds off the win there. Of course, Liam Lawson got a little bit screwed over with his 10-second penalty. That actually cost him points, I believe, in this race there. So very frustrating for Liam Lawson, because honestly, he did nothing wrong in that scenario. Taking a look, though, at our World Championship, it now means Norris has got a 15-point lead at the top of the table ahead of Leclerc. Tsunoda and Piastri tied in P3 on 29 apiece, with Verstappen and Hamilton just behind there as well. Russell ahead of Albon, Alonso, Antonelli and Pierre Gasly, as well as Sainz, all with points on the board, as Nico Hülkenberg, jumps me on count back as well. Constructors-wise, kicks Sauber now up into 8th place as well, so we need to try and get some points on the board pretty soon. Otherwise, we might find ourselves dropping down the order a bit more. McLaren now 20 clear of Ferrari. Red Bull dropped to P3 after a disappointing weekend. Thank you all so much for watching, though, and we'll be back very soon, ready for the Japanese Grand Prix.